Today on the show, we are talking OnlyFans. Let's do this.
The Something Else Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Something Else Podcast. Almost didn't say the there, but I still did it. Anyway, using my very trusty Pokédex notebook, I've made some notes about a particular topic that's been going around YouTube, I guess, and generally just loads of people jumping on the bandwagon. Hold my hands up, I'm doing the same. We're talking about OnlyFans, but more particularly one person on OnlyFans. Now, before we get into it, there are a couple of podcast shows, right? There's an American one called The Whatever Podcast, I think it's called. And generally the host, a male host, but there's two, but they'll get generally OnlyFans models, females, right? And they'll do a lot of talking about, from what I can gather, they're making them to be stupid, raising arguments about, like, you know, being oppressed and all this shit. It's actually quite shit, I won't lie. But there's another show, this is a British one, and it's called Reality Check Podcast. And from what I can gather, it's essentially the same thing. They get OnlyFans models on and they do whatever. Now, this is a couple of weeks ago now. They had a guest on called Rebecca Goodwin. She's British, fair game. But I've made rough notes, but if I've got my notes right, she's one of the UK's top OnlyFans models, right? And she was on their show, and I can't watch all of it like in one sitting. It's just horrible, to be honest. To say they're disrespectful is an understatement. Now, I want to say the main host, the tattooed bastard, he just reminds me of people I went to school with. Like, the ones that are trying to be top lad, the bullies of the school, but never quite got there. So a lot of the stories they say are probably someone else's. And he just comes across like an absolute knobhead. And then he's got his minions with him. One of them, face looks AI, got weird teeth. Then the other one it just looks like the freaking leech that hangs around with them kind of dudes. But essentially, they get this woman on, and he starts the show, right? He starts the whole podcast with not even, like, say hello to our first guest. He calls like the first hoe or something like that. And you're like, come on. Whatever she does for her living, it doesn't concern you in that sense. You got no right to call someone like that. And the whole kind of vibe I get from this show is it's just bragging rights. Like at one part, if I can't speak today. The guest that had Rebecca Goodwin, she did a video after the podcast, and she was in a flood of tears. And she was talking about how, like, there was still a stain on one of the sofas from where they got one of the OnlyFans before her to, like, have a moment, if you get my meaning. And it's just, they're the kind of people that I associate with just being, like, single brain cells. Like, they're the kind of people that'll think having 47 chromosomes is, like, top tier alpha male sort of thing. They're the kind of people that refer to themselves as alpha male. You know what I mean? And it's, honestly, I mean, I'll get to my notes, right? So, Rebecca Goodwin, she's, like I said, even if you're into OnlyFans or you don't, it's nothing to do with us, you know what I mean? If that's what she wants to do, she knows full well, because she, in the podcast, like, she owns them on one part. Because, like, this one dude, the one with the weird teeth, is like, apart from, like, your charity work and everything, he's like, what do you give to society? You know what I mean? And she throws an absolute, like, fuck you sort of thing. And she's like, I paid over 200 grand in tax last year. And I was like, fuck, you must be earning a fucking mint to be paying that. And it's like, honestly, like, I don't even want to link it, but you need to watch it. So, but yeah, she absolutely does them in. But, so the show's called Reality Check Podcast, and I've put here, the main guy instantly reminds me of someone trying to be a top lad and failed. I've also put Reek's small dick syndrome. Possibly doesn't, I don't know. But the fact that he sits there with his tattooed legs on show, it like I said, the whole thing, it's all about bragging rights. Like, yeah, look at me, I got tattoos, I'm a big guy. I made an OnlyFans model come on the sofa. He's, honest to God, he just reeks fucking retard. uh, I have put here, choose easy targets. Now, I am being a generalist right now, I don't know if that's the term. But a lot of people on OnlyFans that I ever see on the podcast stuff, they always seem a little bit, not the sharpest marble, if you get my meaning. And I think they go for them because they're generally, let's be honest, you go into a room, it's got three blokes doing a podcast, you're going to be a bit intimidated. I don't care how strong you are, man or woman, you're going to feel a bit like, oh, hang on. And plus, Rebecca Goodwin, she said in the video she did when she was crying that she was expecting to go to a studio and she didn't. She ended up going to like some dude's apartment. Just tells you everything you want to know, really. But generally, they do choose easy targets. And when I watch that whatever podcast with the American ones, a lot of them, like there's a proper one that they did, a really good video where this one girl, she's like I didn't know she was a prostitute. I don't know. Is that the term we use for it legally? But she said that the main host was being a misogynist. He's like, oh, what do you mean by that? Can you define it? She just put on the waterworks and cried left. So generally, they get people that are a bit more, maybe hear certain phrases, hear certain words, can't explain it, they're done. Excuse me. And generally, I think people look at OnlyFans models as just being dumb. Let's be honest. They're selling tits and ass for money. What do they know? But generally, I find that they do choose easy targets. Now, Rebecca Goodwin, she seems like an absolutely legend. Like, she seems like a legend. She said she's doing it because she doesn't want to work for no one else. Fair game. I hate working for a bloody company that has no interest in the people that work for it. The people that make the company, they don't care about us. So I get where she's coming from. That I don't think I'd ever be able to do OnlyFans because, well, look at me. But I think it's she's doing what she wants. She works for herself. She works when she wants, and she's doing it to support herself and her family. She's got kids. She knows the ins and outs of this business. Like whatever she does now on internet is going to be there forever until the internet dies. So she knows the collateral damage that's going to follow it. So it's not like she's unaware of it. But I think it's there is just excuse me. I think it's like with the profession I work in, there's a stereotype, isn't it? Like men can't care for children. Women who do OnlyFans are fucking dumb and thick, you know what I mean? Not in that way. But like I said, I've wrote some notes. So they choose easy targets, and I can imagine, excuse me, like some of the questions they're asking. I've got a really bad, like, when you get something stuck in your throat, and we're talking about OnlyFans. Excuse me, there we go. See, now my actual tones come back. But I've said easy target. Now, if you don't know who Rebecca Goodwin is, on this episode, she's naturally a blonde. Not that I'm saying she's blonde, if you get my meaning. But she's got like this fiery red hair, very pretty face, assets where you expect them. And immediately they start asking her like just inappropriate questions, especially for a podcast. Like they were saying like, does the carpet match the drapes and all that? Like, is that a question she needs to hear? And like a lot of it just seemed to be like, they always spoke over as well. She never got a word in. And it was... The fact is, as well, I just read it here, their podcast on YouTube is demonetized. Like, their channel is demonetized. That tells you everything you need to know. They've continually failed the guidelines of YouTube. That tells you everything you need to know. So it's a bit like, come on. So they need subscribers. If you subscribe to them, you're an absolute cockend. But, Yeah, so I've put they're demonetized, but they literally, it's almost like they go out to demoralize people. And let's be honest, some people don't realize they're being kind of mocked or being insulted. And from the get go of this episode, you can see it's just awkward. And fair game to Rebecca Goodwin. Like she holds her own for as long as she can. Um, what have I wrote here? Yeah, so I've wrote I've said this before, but she knew, well, she knows why, not the ins and outs of this career she's chose. And I find this particular podcast, it's almost like we're the alpha males. We can say what we want. Fuck you. That's what it comes across as. And it's awful because, let's be honest, it's 2025. Nobody wants to work for a company. We want to work for ourselves. The amount of influencers is alarming, especially these dumbass ones like the ones that just do random shit. What's his name? Johnny Somali goes to like all these countries and insults their culture. And it's horrible. Whereas Rebecca seems like a genuine, smart person. She's gone into a career that's, it's risky. Let's be honest. She's doing stuff maybe no kid really wants to think about, especially if it's their mom doing it. But I just think it weren't needed. Like, what the hell is the reality check? You know what I mean? What does that mean? What are they trying to check? She knows her reality. She's not hiding it. She's very aware. I remember on the whatever podcast, there was this one fucking, I'll just call her an OnlyFans girl. And she was annoying. Like, all she kept doing is that stupid cross-eyed tongue out, making dumbass fucking anime noise. I'm like, just grow the fuck up. You know what I mean? And sometimes they become the character. Like, it's like acting. Like Tom Cruise. I'm not saying that Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise, but like, I know I used Gene Hackman. God rest him and all that. But what you saw on screen wasn't him in real life. He was actually quite recluse. Like, he didn't see himself as a star. He was an actor. So a lot of the characters all of the characters really he played, that weren't him. And I think what people don't realize is a lot of these people on OnlyFans, what they're doing isn't them. It's just their job. You know what I mean? Like, I do forest school. Apart from that, I play in a band. It doesn't mean that I am like, I don't know, this heavy metal worshipping fucking Satanist. I just play loud music. Just because I do forest school doesn't mean I go fucking hugging trees. You know what I mean? And I think, I don't know what they're trying to achieve with this podcast apart from get views. Because, it's a podcast for the fucking Tate brothers. That's what it is. Alpha male, patriarchy bollocks. That's what it is. And they just come across like absolute mongoloids. The Whatsoever podcast generally has some good points, some good debates on it. They get into the nitty gritty of things. And for the most part, it's a really good show to watch. But this one is awful. Because generally, it's just, I don't even know what the words to use apart from bragging rights. Because, I don't know, it's just awful to watch. And when you see someone as strong as Rebecca Goodwin just get dragged down, you're like, really? Because like social media's gone, they're fully backing Rebecca Goodwin, which is awesome. But I just find it absolutely remarkable. Like, they just can't get my head around it. Genuinely can't. I mean, like I said, OnlyFans, if that's what you want to do, that really fucking hurt. Ow, hit my leg. But that's what you want to do. Go for it. I think we're in a time now where, let me just have a drink. Excuse me. We're in a time now where it doesn't matter what you do. Because I think a lot of people realize, and this happened to me when my dad died. I got so aware of just how little time there is. And I've always said, life's the longest thing I'm ever going to own. Whether it's I die today, tomorrow, in 10 years, it's the longest thing I've ever owned. So it's what I do with that time. You know what I mean? And I find people that, dare I say, people that do this are so much more in touch with themselves, no pun intended, than most people that are working somewhere else. because they know what they want and they went out and got it. And I think that's the thing that they've seen. I need money to survive in this world. This gets me money. That's what I'm doing. Because let's be honest, if she's paying over £200,000 in tax like last year, you know what I mean? It beats anything most of us are doing. Like this reality show podcast, it's, what the fuck, what have they contributed to society? You know what I mean? Like this little podcast I'm doing. This video is probably not going to get many views because no one fucking watches it. No one really listens to it. But at the same time, we do it because it's what we do. I know what I want to do. I want to just talk to people. I want to get some stuff out. I want to spread the news of whatever the hell I want to talk about. But I'm not doing it to get views because, like I said, I talk about stuff no one really gives a shit about. Now I could have a big old setup and be like, yeah, come on, lads, blah, blah, blah. And it's not going to do shit. And I find people that do stuff like this, not just OnlyFans, but people that are just so aware of themselves, they're the happiest. So, hats off to Rebecca Goodwin. I'm pretty adamant that everyone's got your back on this one, so, yeah. Well, what do you think about OnlyFans and stuff like that? Is it bad? Is it good? I don't know. So until then, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.